Can having a group of like-minded people really help us in recovery? In this video, I'm going to share my journey to recovery, how I got here. I didn't just jump on YouTube and start making videos. This was years in the making. I'm going to share with you some of the things that I went through to get to this point and how I became solidified in my recovery because of sharing my journey, but also sharing my journey with other people. I found a group that really resonated with me. I found people that I really connected with, and it helped me in my recovery. It helped me grow. It helped me stay sober. It helped me in so many different facets, and I'm going to break down a few of those things for you. So if you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Josh, living life alcohol free. If you're returning, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate every single one of you. The beginning of my recovery, I didn't know where to start. I mean, I just got on Google, started researching, started looking up how to control my drinking. I didn't want to quit drinking necessarily. I really wanted to just be a normal drinker, have one or two and be done. That wasn't in the cards for me ultimately, but I didn't know that right away. It took some time to really look into that and figure that out. But what happened when I found my group was it just opened up a whole new world for me. We walk around our daily lives. There might be some people in our life, friends and family, that understand addiction, understand what it's like to go through this, but they don't understand exactly. And that's where a group of people come in handy. I started a group when I formed this YouTube channel. I started a group on Facebook. That group has grown, and it's awesome to watch. And when I first quit drinking, though, I found this group on This Naked Mind by Annie Grace. It's a book, but it's also a community. I got on there, and I started posting my urges to drink. Right away, I started posting, I'm having this feeling I'm struggling with. It's an urge to drink, but it's deeper than that. It's not always just about you want this drink of alcohol. There's always a reason. And what when I went through all of my years of struggling to quit drinking, I didn't think that I was succeeding, but what I was really doing was planting a seed in my mind every time I regretted my drinking session. I was planting a seed in my mind that, hey, you're going to have to talk about this eventually. You're going to have to open up to people. You're going to have to face the music, as they say. You're going to have to open up a can of worms that you have been not dealing with for pretty much your entire life. You're going to have to deal with the consequences, basically, of all the things that you went through, and own up to it and be honest. And that's scary. It's scary to think about. The thing is, it doesn't happen all at one time. It's like baby steps. We take one step forward each day in the right direction, and we make subtle changes, and then those lead into big things. But what happened with my community was I started to read people's comments and posts, and I started to recognize after reading for a day or two that a lot of these people were alcohol free and they were sober for a long time, sometimes just weeks, but sometimes months and years. And I started to really notice that they felt and sounded happier, like they feel better just not drinking alcohol at all. And I thought, maybe maybe that's what I should try. Maybe that's what I should do. I never really thought about it. I mean, it was a fleeting thought, but I really thought I was just going to cut down and then eventually just be able to have a couple drinks and then be done. That really wasn't the case for me. It ended up being, I knew that I couldn't do that. I crossed over into addiction. I used alcohol to cope for so many years that there was probably no way that that was going to happen. But what happened was I started to recognize that by controlling my drinking, it means just not drinking, just putting it aside and being done. So I was reading these comments and these posts, and I started to recognize that these people seemed a lot happier. But I wouldn't have really had that idea and that thought unless I was open to looking at a community and joining that community, possibly. So I built up the courage to post. I put a post on there. I don't remember exactly what I said, but it was day 3, day 4, alcohol free. I wasn't sure if I was going to continue with that or not, but here I am, and I'm looking to, post some things now. And I started to post every day. It just became this routine. Instead of getting up in the morning and thinking about alcohol, I would get up in the morning and crave this community. I would crave posting on there. I would crave reading their comments to my posts, the encouragement, the words of affirmations like, I understand what you're going through. I'm going through the same thing. And there's so many people out there that get it, but it doesn't feel like it when we try to do it by ourselves. So I started making like friendships that we would start to message outside of that group. And it was easy to do that because um, you could tell that they were consistent. And that's what really it takes to get alcohol free and stay that way is consistency. We drank so often to numb our problems, to numb the life that we, are living, to numb all the voices of the people that were bothering us so much. We drank for all these things. Man, I got some real bad sun going on here, but anyhow, you never know what you're going to get in these videos, but I'll edit it out. But that's just like life, we never know what's going to happen unless we take that leap, take that jump, and see what we can find out from that. And that's ultimately what happened. I started to feel a little bit more comfortable sharing more vulnerable things in my life. I started to feel more comfortable because I trusted this platform, that these folks on here had my back, and I started to chat with them. They had a instant messaging that you could use on that app, on that website, and in some cases we would give our cell phone out. Now that's not always the case. In this journey, we don't know exactly who we're talking to. I mean, they may seem like good people at the at up front, and luckily for me, I've always been someone who kind of had a pretty good judge of character. I think it was easier. I think it's been easier as a non-drinker than it was as a drinker, just because I was so skeptical as a drinker all my life that I was not willing to open up to anybody, not even my doctor, not my I mean my wife, yes, to a certain degree, but not the amount I was drinking. I wasn't able to open up just exactly how much I was struggling with my drinking until I found this group, and I started to be able to say, look, I'm drinking like 15, 20, a case of beer sometimes a day, and man, it's just adding up, and I can't take this anymore. It's killing me. It's I might not be in the hospital, in and out of the hospital, but I can tell that it's wearing me out. I did have issues with sometimes I had issues with swallowing. I had indigestion really bad. I had GI issues. We a lot of us have that, and we don't want to talk about it. It's something that we don't want to share. We think that we're invincible, or we want to pretend like we can handle what we're drinking, but in reality, we can't. I mean, it's too much. So opening up and being honest about that was like the first real step to success in staying alcohol free. And then a week later, I had a therapy visit. I had a visit with this new therapist that I never met before. Again, I'm taking a chance here. I'm taking a leap. I took that leap. I wasn't sure I was gonna really it was gonna work because yes, therapy has helped me over the years, but I never had anyone that really understood my addiction. But it happened to be that he uh, his background was in alcohol and addiction recovery, and that's what it took. And I didn't know until I took that leap. Now, granted, he did. I think the receptionist did tell me that this therapist actually did specialize in that. So I did kind of look forward to that because in the past I didn't have the therapist that specialized in that. But I wasn't always in there to address my drinking. For the most part, I was in there to address my relationships with my wife, with my daughters, with myself. And yes, they helped me with that in the past, but it was really the alcohol that was causing most of my problems. And I really wasn't able to address that until I was able to address that. And finding that group of like-minded people and sharing that week really helped me figure some things out before I had that therapy visit. Then I had that therapy visit. I went home. I was planning on drinking, but what some of the things that my new therapist told me helped me not drink. I got home and I thought, about some of the things that he said and I thought to myself, it's not going to make sense for me to turn to drinking again. And I was on day 8, alcohol free at that time. And I thought, the things that people are saying to me in my sobriety community now that I'm building, that it doesn't know, I didn't know that I was building it, but that's what I was doing. I was building friendships. I was building trust. I was building, uh, these little relationships that ultimately would start to bloom into something more. As the time went on and I started to share every single day, about 6 months into it, uh, a few of the members built or started a Zoom meeting. To that point, I was never able to even be on camera and talk in front of people, not even on Zoom. I didn't feel comfortable recording myself. I didn't feel comfortable with looking at myself, with hearing myself, anything like that. I didn't want anything to do with it. But I knew, I always felt like that was something that I wanted to work on. So now I felt like, what better opportunity than now to take that leap? And it doesn't have to be a big giant leap. It's one little step. So when I got on, I turned the camera off and I only did audio. And it wasn't weird because I think there was another person or two on there that did the same thing. But I thought during the week, maybe I'll get on there and show my face. And ultimately, the next week, I did that. I was so nervous, shaky, maybe a little bit red in the face, anxious. Uh, but as time went on, and it was different than being in person. A lot of times, uh, like at an AA meeting that I tried a few times, I didn't feel quite as nervous. But for some reason, I built up in my mind that I was nervous about this. And I think the reason I was nervous looking back on it 5 years later is that it was the anticipation. It was knowing that I wanted this for myself now. I wanted to be alcohol free. I wanted to talk about my sobriety. I wanted to talk and hear about other people's journeys and get to know people. And that can be scary because you don't know what you're gonna hear. You know, you don't know you don't know. It's kind of the unknown. So what happened was I spoke. I got over that fear. Um, not at that time, but as the weeks went on and I was on there, and I would know that it was my turn to talk. We don't even have to talk if we didn't want to, but being that I'm always into talking, having conversations, my wife would say that I come from a long line of talkers. I never considered myself that, but my mom and my grandma, they were, and they could talk my ear off, and they could talk people's ear off, and you kind of have to peel yourself away, kind of a thing. And so I used to kind of take offense to that comment, but over the years, I'm like, yeah, you're not wrong. It's fine. Um, but it was awesome because I was kind of embracing that part of me, the part of me that loved to have dialogue with people. It's not something that I felt comfortable with. I mean, I was an isolated drinker for most of my life. Yes, there were occasions when I would meet a friend at a pub or something, but for the most part, I would just drink at home by myself. That was what I preferred. But that really hurts our ability to be social. It hurts our skills of our social skills. And it can make us anxious and have social anxiety on top of anxiety that we already have. And then the drinking makes it all worse. So that was, something that I just took the leap. I thought, I'm going to do this. And that group went on for about a year. Ultimately, the three of the hosts of that said they were going to step away. Two others that were in that group stepped up and said, "We'll take over." They named it something different. I felt more comfortable with them because we chatted. I chatted personally with them more than I did with the other three hosts. So for me, it was when that started, it was almost like I was part of the being a host, and I actually jumped in and did host sometimes. And I got to a point where I felt that comfortable. So what a group, man! It's amazing what having that encouragement can do for us. And it's not just encouragement from anybody. It's encouragement from people that think like us, that are going through struggles like us. Are and not all of our lives are the same, but what we have in common is the drinking and the not drinking, and dealing with life, coping with life, um, without alcohol. And that is huge because it starts a chain reaction of things that would never have happened if I didn't take that leap in the first place. And that is a huge thing. So it was around year 2.5 now, or three, and I felt like I was missing something. My faith became a little bit more, and it didn't just happen. I talked to my daughter one day. She was I was asking her about one of the pastors from this church that left, that we went to every now and then, and she said, "I think this church he's launching a new church out in Howell." And I thought, I'm going to look into that. And I thought, well, I got on the website and said, we're launching next week. And I thought, man, what is the timing on that? How awesome is that? I watched some of the videos that he made. Uh, just a pastor that I really resonated with. Similar in age. I think he's a couple years younger than me, but similar backgrounds, coming from a family of kind of instability. Um, Kind of dads, he had a couple different stepdads that were addicted to alcohol and drugs, and that resonated with me. I didn't necessarily have that. I did have a couple guys, that were, after my parents got divorced when I was 14, that were coming in and out of my life, that were not stable people. I would say stable men, not good role models. And having a pastor that was coming from that background, he didn't he wasn't necessarily addicted to alcohol, but at the same time, uh, I found this church, and it's called Agape City, and it's in Howell, Michigan. And if you're interested, check that website out. But He's got all kinds of sermons, all kinds of videos, all kinds of. And I actually interviewed him um, about a year and a half ago, just before I launched this channel, and it's down in there, and I'll post it down in the comments for you. You want to watch that interview? But what happened was that joining and meeting him, it opened up a whole new, and again, that wasn't easy for me. That was something that was intimidating. It was scary. I built up in my mind that he was this, kind of on this platform that I wasn't on. And it just happened to be, I went to this church for about a year, and I was hesitant to go up and introduce myself. But after a few months of thinking about that, I went up, I introduced myself after church one day, and I started talking to him about my sobriety. And I don't know why. I don't know where it came from. I mean, I do know why. It's because it was important to me. But I wanted to thank him and tell him that his sermons and the church that he's launched has really helped me in an aspect of my recovery that I didn't have before, that I felt like I was missing. And it wasn't long after that I did a testimonial for him. And then I had a interview with Annie Grace, a podcast interview. And these two things happened side by side. And I'm telling you, man, it wouldn't have happened if I didn't have the community of people that I had. And then once I solidified myself in all this, and that podcast unfortunately never got put on YouTube. She had some changes to her platform just around that time. So I was like I think I was like the first interview before they cut that off, or after they cut that off. So it was like it didn't get put on. I was so disappointed. I didn't have that video. I think she posted audio of it. Wasn't the same, but in any case, I was able to kind of get confidence from that. And it was building blocks, but it was my community that enhanced that for me, gave me the ability to be able to speak and speak on not just my sobriety, but my life and the importance of being alcohol free, the glory of being alcohol free. It's so much better. We don't wake up feeling like crap every day. We don't wake up thinking about alcohol every day. It becomes a non-existent thing, and that's just what it's become. So if you're looking for a group, I've got a Facebook group. It's a private group. It's just a place where we can go. If you don't feel comfortable posting on here, you can post on there. I'll pin the link in the comments below. It's called Sobriety in the Storm. Please like and subscribe and hype this video. Hype is a new feature. If you go down to the middle there where it's got the scrolling, you can scroll left and right. There's a hype button, and apparently you can hype up to 3 videos for free on any video. So if you can do that, that would support the channel and keep me going, making content for you guys on here, which I love to do. And also just comment anything that you want to comment about down below, and we can get some dialogue going. So thank you all so much for being here. Man, it's getting sunny out, but it's a great day. It's a great day to be alcohol free. So have a great one, and we'll see you on the next one. And check out some more of my videos down below.